Okay, so welcome to the channel. My name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this hardware and network troubleshooting, which is part of the core. I think this is core 1 or core 2. Yes, core 1, hardware and network troubleshooting. So it's in domain 5 of the 220110 CompTIA A Plus exams. So the goal here is that if you're a technician, if you say, let's assume you say you do DevOps, or you do cybersecurity, or you're a cloud engineer, or you do any of these like big stuffs, big names. All of these things are based or they are deployed on a network. If you are doing Azure, or you're doing Google Cloud Platform, or you're doing, what was it called, AWS, the AWS we're talking about is a platform. And that platform is hinged on devices. Those devices are computers. Those computers have hardware. They are on a what? On a network. If you have a website, where is it hosted? On a server. That server is what? On a hardware. That hardware is in what? A network. So these are skill sets that are very foundational, that's going to help you proceed in any of those fields. Now, here you're going to be learning what can be the issues when it comes to motherboards, random access memory, central processing units, power, how to troubleshoot storage drives and read arrays, troubleshoot video, projectors, display issues, printers. This is a domain may comprise 29% of the exam question. So it's very, very key. Very, very key. If you check, you see that hardware networking troubleshooting is very key to the exam in terms of the percent they cover, right? Troubleshooting, 26%, right? So it's a very, very important aspect, because the job of a technician is to solve business problems, or is to solve problems associated with people using tech to deploy business solutions. Let me come again. Somebody is trying to solve a business problem. How is he going to solve it? He needs a website, or he needs to set up a network, or he needs a computer, or he needs to run whatever is in on a network, or he needs to use printers. He needs to solve business problems. So he renders business solutions. So he is using technology. So when he has an issue, who is he going to call? He's going to call a technician. He's going to call somebody that is into hardware, is into network. Now, if you look at the objectives, given a scenario, apply the best practice methodology. So here, we're not just learning how to fix problems. We're trying want to understand the best methodology, the best way to fix. There's always a long cut, there's a shortcut, depending on what the question is asking you to do, what is going to be your best way to actually fix the issue. Then, how do you troubleshoot? How do you know what is the probable cause? How do you go from the software before you go to, if you have a middleware, then before you go to the hardware, then before you start looking at the different components within your CPU. Then giving giving a scenario, troubleshoot, then storage drives, right? Read arrays where you have read replicas, you have mirrored kind of storage drives, that you have this drive mirroring another drive. Let me give an example. So it's just for redundancy, so that we can have a situation whereby if something fails, the other can pick up.
Yeah.
Right? So this guy is here, 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 right? So if this guy fails, you have your data here, no issues. So it's still storage, right? Then you have display issues. You have, so most of the issues, previously we were just trying to learn the different components of our computer. Now we're trying to understand if we have an issue, how do we fix it? We've talked about printers, we've talked about mobile, we've talked about networks. So when we have issues, how do we fix them? Okay, there are some quiz here, so we'll skip that to the actual class. Troubleshooting methodology. The term methodology always confuses people. So it means a collection of systematic approaches to solving technical problems. We're simply saying, what do you do first? What do you do second? What do you do third? What do you do fourth? What do you do fifth? What do you do sixth? What's the process like?
What's the process?
Especially when you have a complex problem. You see a system that you want to solve the issues, maybe it's not booting up. And for it not to boot up, there might be some underlying issues. There might be several issues all piled. That's why you go to a doctor. A doctor is going to say, okay, how are you feeling? He wants to get the symptoms. He wants to now say, okay, we are going to run this test. We're going to run this test. We're going to run this test. He's going to be doing he's going to be looking at some probable cause. It's going to be doing some elimination. It's going to be doing some trial to see if it's going to help you. Just like in cancer treatment, one size or one methodology does not solve the problem, right? They're going to try chemotherapy, they can do radiography, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do that. For the medical doctor that understand all of those terminologies. So they're going to try different ways to see how to solve that complex problem before they now come to reach a conclusion.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the 6 CompTIA, Cisco has theirs, right? If you study the Cisco material, they have theirs, but they're very similar. They're not too different from each other. Now, if you have a problem, what do you do? Question the user. Identify user changes. That's why somebody have an issue. Say, okay, what did you do last? Because you want to see if you can have a link between the actions of the user and the aftermath of those actions. Then we're also saying that before you start doing some stuff, try to get a backup. Backup what you have already. You see, somebody wants to fix a system, and the first thing he does is to try to format the system or try to wipe. No, that is wrong methodology. Formatting and doing all of those things is like your last resort. I think that's one of the reasons why I think as let's say 8-9 years ago, I lost interest in hardware because we started having a lot of quacks. We started having a lot of people that want to, oh, I can fix your system, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Even for a new system, because a new system, for instance, have the base operating system that is genuine Windows or genuine Mac that ships from the manufacturer that is worth at least between $100 to $300, that operating system. Yeah. I see somebody wants to fix a problem and the person, first thing they want to even wipe or go back to reset the system. That is a wrong methodology. Without even doing any backup. I met somebody that had an issue with his system, and for everybody he met is a bank official. For everybody he met, that's what they wanted to do. So he brought a system to me, and he now said he knows I'm going to solve his problem. I said, but I don't have all of this time. I typically don't do hardware networks again. These are things I've done last 10, 15, 16. I don't do them again. I don't have the time. I typically have interest in analytics, machine learning, security, and those are my interests now. All of this hardware stuff, I might not have the time. So you say, please, I want you to help me, because you know the kind of software they have on those systems, on the system, is most of them are premium softwares. He doesn't want to format, start, and I said, okay. Yeah. I said, no problems. Of course, and most of the times when I do that, I don't do that for cash because something I've left for a long while. So I collected the system. I went home. I think when I got time, I booted the system up. I observed the system. I asked him the things he did and whatever. He couldn't point issues to me. So, but I noticed that the system had some kind of shortcuts. Some files are missing. You cannot access some sections of the computer. Some files are like having a particular, forgotten the name of the other PDF or Word. They are all turning icons to certain whatever. Once I investigated it, I said, oh, I understand the issue. This is system registry issue. And what is happening is, yes, it's a malware. It's that would have caused this to happen. But this wouldn't be solved really by maybe installing an antivirus software. This would not be solved by trying to format. No, it's to fix the system. This particular malware have tampered with the system registry and have turned most of these desktop shortcut software and whatever to a certain file type. So I just did a little Google and I saw a small script. It's less than maybe 100 kilobytes. I installed it and it fixed the issue. So I installed a free antivirus software for him. I think he said or Noton, I can't remember. Clean it up, clean up the system. And I called him and I said, your system is okay. I gave him back the system. And I said, oh God. I think he dashed me a sum of money. I can't remember how much that money is. It's like up to 3 years now. And I think I was driving. I went to fix something in my car with that amount. So I said, oh, my wife, I think I need to go back to hardware. Now, the thing is that somebody that does not understand some of this basic methodology of understanding the process will typically first format that system or even start attempting to do backup. Now, you're going to use a longer time to troubleshoot a very simplistic issue.
Yeah.
Right? So what we're trying to say is that if you want to solve a problem, if you want to troubleshoot, there are known methodologies. Cisco has theirs, CompTIA, and even manufacturers, device makers, they will have different methodologies, but it's still the same basic principle behind it. Perform backups. Inquire about environmental infrastructure changes that might have occurred. Things like dust, things like weather, cold, heat, because you might be able to tie what has happened to this experience, the person. You can also ask, what was the last thing that you did before this happened? Is it internet? Did you install a software? Did you do? Then system application logs for a clue. I use this a lot when doing pen testing, not pen testing, when doing digital forensics on web applications. Or let's say a web application is being hacked. I want to solve the problem. A lot of the times, I always go to my logs, right? In a building, if you want to know the last person that came into the building, or if you want to know the person that came to the building by 3 p.m., what do? You go to the CCTV camera. You go to the sign in, sign out register, right?
Yeah.
That is how it is if you want to troubleshoot and know what happened. Then next thing is, once you have done that, establish a theory of probable cause. What might have caused it to happen, right? You need to have 1 or 2, 3 guesses from what you already know. Then you need to start testing those theories, right? Then you need to establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. So you don't just start fixing the problem. You first ask questions, make sure you have a backup, then look at what might be the probable cause. You might have 1, 2, 3. Let's say I say HPGX this isn't booting, right?
Yeah.
So the question is, what is going to be? So probable causes is going to be power. Is the power plugged in? Is the adapter working? Then battery. From there, BIOS, like that. So once you've identified all of the probable cause, then you have to now start testing them one after the other. And you now start eliminating.
Yeah.
A very good thing to do is to do what? To refer to vendors' instruction and guidance. So for every device, for every machine, either printer, your desktop, your laptop, they all have technical manuals. So you see this GX stuff now. So you can say technical manual, file type, PDF, right? So every device is going to have a technical manual. Is even this GX stuff, is it a computer even? Okay, it's a thin client even. Is it? Okay, let's just say thin client T60, HP T60, 630. technical manual. Are you there? Troubleshooting.
Yeah.
Pam. Let's see how many pages. So there's a lot of insight you're going to get from this manual.
Yeah.
Even before you go to meet the client. How to replace the different components, I have a thin client at home I use for my daughter to learn computing and the rest. Just a small machine. It's thin. Some banks use it also. Either. So you have a complete troubleshooting guide on that device. So don't just start doing gambling. Like I remember a guy that I told to fix something in my car. I just found out that the AC light is blinking. And that was all. So I told the guy, okay, please let me fix. The guy just started opening different parts of my car. I said, it has not gotten to that. So I paid him and told him, please, you should refer me to somebody else. The person now referred me to, the person now said, he's going to fix it. And I said, what is the issue? The guy said,
exactly.
He said he's going to fix it. And I said, I didn't say that you're not going to fix it. I wanted to know probable causes. Because until you can understand at least 2-3 probable causes that you are going to test, you want to do a gamble. So if you have experience or if you understand methodology, you should be looking at least 2-3 probable causes.
Probable causes. Yeah.
Then you now start attempting each of the probable causes. Because there's a probable cause you're going to mention, it will tell whether you're a quack, whether you are an unprofessional, whether you're unprofessional or whether you're professional. It's just like saying the laptop is not booting because the screen is bad. The laptop should boot up. The lights should at least show, right? Yeah. The lights in different areas should show. It doesn't have anything to do with the screen. It's different from me saying my laptop is booting up, but it's not showing anything on the screen. So what your probable causes are going to be will tell if you know what you are doing or not. So that's what I wanted to identify. I wanted to be a mechanic to know. So when he didn't give me an answer, I said, please direct me to somebody else. He was not answering me. He was not answering me, so I left. I go to somebody else. I love the third guy because in trying to fix the issue, he just started working. So I love his confidence. I allowed him. But I found out that he started doing some kind of bypass. He got it.
From the fuse box.
Yes, that light stopped blinking. But I told him, no, that why are you sending wire from here? That don't need to do all of that. That you need to just identify what the issue is and fix it. You don't need to pass the wire from where the dashboard area to the fuse. No, you don't need to do all of that. It has not gotten to that. Because yes, once you do yours, somebody else might. And I think it's the first electrical issue I've had with the car. So I've never done anything. So I was very, very careful. Now, when he tried for almost 20, 30, 40 minutes, nothing. That was his only solution, which was a shortcut. He saw that I was not accepting that as a solution. So he said, let us go to meet somebody. We went to meet the guy. The guy just did that. And I said, nobody. I said, what did he say from? He said, he told me how much. I said, go ahead. It was just at the fuse box. He saw the issue, fixed it, and I paid them and I left. How many persons? One, the first guy that I paid for doing nothing, just to make him feel happy. The second person, the third person is the fourth person that now fixed the issue. Without the bypass, without the whatever. So vendor instruction is very key. So verify full system functionality, if applicable, implement preventive measure. Because most of the times when you have an issue, always think about the solution and to forestall, prevent future occurrence. Always document findings. And when I used to do hardware, I used to have what we call a repair sheet.
So that for similar cases, you can refer back.
Yes, repair sheets, laptop repair sheets. So it also gives you a history of issues, problems, the probable cause, and what the solution is. So the person's name, the person's email, the person's phone number, how much the person have paid, the card, the details of whatever, what is the problem, what did the person describe? Because you can be solving in an office, you can be solving like 15, 16 issues at a time within 1 month. How do you track?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you need to have like a sheet, a repair sheet, or a documentation for each of the issues that you have. It also helps you to learn. So you want to document the findings, actions, and outcomes. Always consider corporate policies, procedures, impact before implementing changes. Like I was trying to do a tax for a company. One of the things I was asking, I said, will you need this kind of job? You need to do it at off-peak period. Because if you do that on peak period, the impact to the organization is going to be very huge because you are going to typically disrupt their
Activity for the day. Yeah.
activities for the day. So you want to do it later, either overnight or early hours or late hours. So how do you troubleshoot motherboard, RAM, CPUs, and power issue? Now, so there's what we call postcode beeps. I think I encountered one in one desktop we use in the office for training purposes. So you're going to hear something like ping, ping, ping. So that's a long beep, a short beep, a short beep. So for different motherboards, they're going to have different beep codes to tell what the issue is. So it's like a way the manufacturer is telling you that this is what the issue is. If I say, where is this guy? GT 600 HP beep codes, right? Normally, you're going to see that in technical manual of that particular, what's it called? Of that particular, is this 60 or what? What do we just, let me see. Okay, let me say Lenovo, let me say HP Dex, no, HP GX 200 beep codes. Just a moment, I want to get one from manufacturer. Okay. Oh, GT, I mean, HP GT51, GT52. This is a printer. GX, let me say DV7. What's it called? Beep codes. So each computer type is going to have the beep code and the meaning. So you don't need to cram it, you don't need to have it upstairs, but you should be able to understand for each manufacturer, each device is going to have beep code and what the issue is going to be. Some beep code is going to be, okay, the RAM is not compatible. Some beep code is going to mean, okay, what's it called? Maybe the battery is incompatible. Some beep code is going to be your CMOS battery, it's not set or it's low. Some beep code is going to be the keyboard is not connected. Some beep code, just several stuff. So you see things like let's say HP, one short and one long beep. So depending. So idea, memory problem.
Yeah.
So that means that you should check your memory, remove it, sit it properly, or remove it. Maybe that's not compatible, or you reset the memory, or you remove the CMOS battery and return it and see if it's going to solve the issue. So BIP codes are a way. So we call them power on self test. And in some, a one single BIP can be that all is well. So it doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
So memory, depending on the manufacturer, so 1341. So pin, right? So video none. If it's award, if it's AMI, if it's IBM, depending on the BIOS, it's too long. Pin. This one now is one long, one 8 short bit. So pin, right? So this is how, especially for desktop, we have most of these BIP codes, they happen a lot, and some for laptops. So they're just a way for you to do troubleshooting. Okay, any other thing that is important for you to take note of here? Proprietary screen crash screen. We normally call this blue screen of death. A blue screen of death, especially in older operating systems, even in new operating systems, you still have this blue screen of death. Is just most of the times when you have a hardware issue. At times it's operating system. At times when the operating system is corrupted, you have this kind of screen. It's just a blue screen with some messages. And once you have this issue, so you should be considering your hard drive. Either your hard drive is bad. I think this is for Windows XP. So either your hard drive is bad or your operating system is corrupted. So you want to try repairing do a check disk, repair your hard disk, or you want to reinstall the operating system or slave the drive and back up your device. Look at this guy. So that's what you call a blue screen of death, right? It's just to tell you what the issue is, right? And we are saying that the issue is going to be likely your operating system is corrupted, or your hard drive has issues. So these are some of the probable cause of when you see a blue screen of death like this. So
okay, so that's the blue screen, eh?
Yeah, that's the blue screen. Now, one important thing you need to also understand is what we call recovery, startup recovery, or at times we say reset. Understand that every system always have, most systems, especially those ones that their operating system is genuine, they have an option for you to kind of reset or kind of go back to in Windows 2000. 98 2000 XP, there's what we call known good configuration. But now most of the times the mostly available option is for you to reset, take the system back, or to create a go back to a restore point. So what's a restore point in a computer? So it's just a point in your computer that you have a known configuration. So what it means is that the way my system is now currently, if I want to create this as a restore point, I love how everything is working. Everything is fine. So I want to create a point in which I can come back to. All I need to do is just create a restore point, right? So it's going to mark, I think, let me even do that a second. System restore. Restore, no. Okay, let me go next. Now look at, if I want to do system restore, my last system restore I have here is 26th of August. That is like last 4 days. If I try to show more restore point, it will tell me, okay, 9th of August. That maybe I did an installation. So if I have issues now, I can go back. If I tap this and next, it's going to take my system back to this particular point in time in my system.
With the date.
As in how my system was at that particular time in terms of softwares. If I have most times, if I have a new virus infection in my system now, that will be gone. If I have a, depending on the type of malware actually, if I have a software I've installed on my system after that date, they are gone. If I have any configuration I've done on my system after that date, they are gone. Right? So it's an excellent way to go back to a point in your system that all was well. Now you see these codes that you see, it can also help you in researching. At times when you have a blue screen of death, you can see a code, or you can see a number, or you can see something. It can also help you in troubleshooting. At times you might want to Google, you might want to check documentations for you to know what is the actual cause. Like you see this one, it's telling you your PC ran into a problem and needs to restart. We are just collecting some information to run. So you could Google windows.com/stopcode. Stopcode is manually initiated crash. So you could check that up and see what the probable causes are and see how to troubleshoot with the guide you have in those documentation. Because most errors are going to leave a form of code, a form of number for you to look up to. So like I said earlier on, you can have registry issues. You can have incompatible hardware. At times when you put in a device that is not compatible with the operating system, what do? What happens is that the system wants to protest, and the blue screen of death is the way for it to protest. Or you have a malware, right? You have some other causes that can be, you can check the event viewer too. The event viewer has a log that tells the things that have been happening to your system in the past few days and the rest. Then you can also check the Microsoft support website with the code that you have. Right, so this is your log. Sorry. Windows log. So application. So it's trying to load. So you have 22,640 items in terms of setup, in terms of system, in terms of security. So it's very heavy. It's good to load. So it can give you insight on what has happened, or you use the particular code, right? To determine the exact cause of the stop error, use the code. The code is going to help you to look out for what might be the issue.
Okay.
Another thing you can do is that you can back up your registry. You can remove the component that you've already added. You can replace the component. You can replace components such as memory. You can upgrade your application, or you can install hotfix for your operating system. Like you see that one I told you I used in fixing that system registry issue of that person that had some malware and the rest. It's just a hotfix. Yeah. It's like a small script. Microsoft fix system registry shortcuts. Malware, something like that. So you're going to see some scripts. You can see some manual guide also. Okay, good. So this is for Microsoft. So you don't want to go to where you don't know. Remove specific prevalent malware with Windows malicious software removal tool. So this is from Windows, right? You can follow these instructions, right? And I think this is it. You can download it. Let me see this. Okay, look at it here. If you're running 32 bits, if you're running 64 bits, see it. Release date So they keep. So I think you're able to download it, right? The software removal tool, you can download it, install it, and you're good to go.
Cool.
Just 56 MB. I think, let me see something. If I can have a, okay, how the MSRT is different from antivirus product. So you have a very detailed documentation. So that's to fix that issue. And if you have that kind of issue, you see, by just Googling, and always make sure that you are getting whatever you're getting from the Microsoft side, from the vendor. You don't want to be getting something from a place that is going to now give you more issues, right?
Yeah.
So those are hot fixes. You can also update your operating system if you have access to the internet. That can fix some of these issues. Because one thing that your update does for you is to give you security patches, is to improve your operating system security posture. Then for macOS, you have your pinwheel. The official name for the macOS pinwheel is the spinning watt cursor, right? So you have the pinwheel appears most often when the application on macOS itself has become unresponsive. So when you have those kind of issues like a glitch, at times maybe you lack system RAM, the guy is just dormant, it's not moving. At times, less than 10% free space on your drive. That's why it's good to have enough of drive. You have an application that is damaged. Always make sure it's from a trusted source, right? Especially get from the vendor. Then if you have your Mac OS being unresponsive, these are the kind of things you can do. You can do your command option escape to force a quit. If you're on Windows, I think you're going to be doing your alternate F4 or alternate F4, or if you do, let me see. Okay, alternate F4 is going to, I think, close this. I don't want to do that. So those shortcuts, you can actually check them up, and you can, or you could do Control Alternate Delete and get your task manager and close what you need to close. So these are some of the things you can do if you have your system not responsive. If you have a blank screen or a black screen, most likely you have a video issue or cable issue. If your screen is good, it then means the cable, your cable connector coming from the motherboard to the screen has issues, right? Or your device driver have issue. It's going to be your device driver most of the times if it's showing, but you don't have the proper resolution. If it's not sharp enough, if you cannot go HD, if the system can go up to HD, it's just showing bare graphics, bare minimum graphics. So you might have a graphics device issue. Okay, so I think this is your RAM. This is your, what is this? Can't see this properly. This should be your hard disk. So this is your SODI memory module. That's number 2. Yes, it's your RAM. This is your 2-inch hard disk here. This is it. This one should be your LCD CFL inverter. So this is what is connecting between your board and your, what is it called? Your screen. This guy here. That's we call it inverter. At times we call it module, depending. So you have some troubleshooting tips here that you can read up. Okay. What else makes sense? Entry safe mode varies by system. Consult your system manufacturer documentation. Yes. If I have a Lenovo V14 enter safe mode, the combination is going to be different. Are you there?
Yeah.
On your system, once it starts up, select 4 or press F4 or function F4, depending on your keyboard. Some keyboards, like my own keyboard, for me to select F4, I think I have to do function F4. to get it. In some keyboards, F4 is on its own. If it's a system, if it's a desktop keyboard, I think most of the function keys are going to be slightly different. Sometimes it's going to be same. If you are using a let's say a Dell Inspiron 15, enter safe mode. You see F8. So each manufacturer will have a way to enter safe mode.
Yeah.
No power. So power supply failure. So is the what's it called? Is the adapter working properly? Your front panel connection to the motherboard. Have you gotten power to the motherboard? We talked about the 24 pin and the 20 pin. Lose or missing power leads from the power supply. So you want to make sure that your power section, your power part is all correct. Such suppressor or UPS failure. So if the system is connected to a UPS, is the UPS fine? Is the UPS okay? Is the battery working? Overheating. So you want to check what is happening. What is happening? Is it that the system is overloading, doing more than it can do, especially for gaming PCs? Is the fan failing? Yes, if the fan is failing, that means that the fan is not cooling the processor or the internal area of the computer, or there's inadequate airflow, so you're going to have a lot of heat coming out, or it's in an environment where you have a lot of deaths. So each of them are explained, right? This is like a what is it called? This is going to be stopping a lot of stuff. Idea. This is going to interfere with airflow. Look at this fan now. This fan needs a lot of breathing space, and look at wires all over around it. That's why you see some fans. They are the way they are done. The fan is facing this way, and it's going to be so that it can collect the heat and send it out. Right. So those are countermeasures for some of these things. A cluttered system with many unsecured cable blocking airflow, that can result to overheating. So proper cable management. So you see the way the cables are sorted out, arranged, clipped properly, right? So look at this heat sink. Now, this heat sink is going to be doing a nice work. It's not going to have a lot of issues. I think this is a PCI card. This one too is a PCI card. It has a heat sink. So it's going to be able to do its work properly without much interference. Are you seeing? It's a lot of debts, right? Can interfere and cause heating. Case fans, right? Why do you have case fans? Case fans is to improve the temperature within the PC. PC case fans. Are you there? Yep. So most of them are going to be connected, right? So what they will do is that they will send in good amount of air within. And this is going to be covered. This part will be covered. So you're not going to see this fan the way it is like that. It's properly guided, right? So it's going to take in a lot of fresh air, especially for high-end systems running 3 gigahertz up, or servers. They need a lot of fan, they need a lot of coolings, right? So how many fans will tell is going to be based on what is your processor speed, right? So what are you doing? So what's the speed of the processor? How much work is it doing? So fans can always be replaced. So, but you must make sure that it's compatible and you have the space for that. There's always a limit to how much fans you can put within a system. Sluggish performance. So sluggish performance is going to likely be caused by either your hard disk is full, your processor is low compared to the tasks you're giving it to do, or your RAM is small compared to the tasks that you're giving it to do, or you have a malware that is slowing down your computer processing speed. Hard drive, RAM, video card, CPU. So overheating, so burning smells, or loose screws, CPU overheating, power supply failure, power supply tester. So I normally use just a regular tester, power tester, or multimeter, just a multimeter. So you can use a multimeter to test power to see if what is written on the power supply is what you're getting. At times, this is on power pack, desktop. So you're going to see it's written 250 watts. Let me say 350 watts. Right? 350 watts. So the question is that, will you be able to get 350 watts? Or do you want to make sure that, or you will have some device that can check how much this guy is drawing, how much this guy is taking in from the different components. And you also know that your computer is supplying you 5 volts, 3 volts, 3.3 volts, 12 volts, right? Those are the voltages you have.
Yeah.
I think we've learned that in the previous chapters.
Yes.
So your power supplies can also help you to determine if the power supply is working. Because look at this cable here that you're going to plug in. Can you tell if the cable is working even? Power supply cable. That is this one. Right? So this particular one, a moment, this one. So what you do, you can plug this guy in, use a multimeter, put a positive, put a negative, and tune the multimeter to AC volts. So you have something like this multimeter. This is a multimeter. Let me get one that can see clearly. Okay, this. Awesome. Right? So this is you measuring AC volt. So you see the AC volt. This is alternating current. This is direct current. This is what's it called? Both alternating current and direct current that is very small, tiny in millivolts, or like small volts in like less than 1. Then you have ohms.
Yeah.
Test for this should be test for continuity also. Then this is current. So for this guy, right, you are trying to troubleshoot. So you plug this guy, you plug it in power to see if this guy is working. You plug this guy and you tune this guy to volts here, right? AC. See, it's already on AC.
Yeah.
And you read. You put the positive here, put the negative here. That is, you put it here, and here, right? If you're testing volt and ohms, you plug it here. If you're testing current, you plug it here and here. So the multimeter is something like this. These two guys, right? So you put these two guys, once you plug it, you put these two guys here, and you read. Depending on your country, you should be getting 110 volts. We talked about power before now. 110 volts, you should be getting 20 thereabout. Once it's not reading anything, this cable is bad. Right? You now know that your power supply is good, but this cable is what? Bad. So you change that particular cable. So this is what I was just trying to describe. So you check, you can plug it in and check what is reading to make sure your power supply is good. So these are some nice testers that can do more work. You can have some very custom power supply that can even measure how much watts this guy is drawing to see if it corresponds to what the manufacturer said. So this is just some of the things I explained. Step-by-step power supply troubleshooting. Intermittent shutdown, so continuous reboot. So this is also a power supply. And at times, this can be your processor issue, or your power supply is not getting enough power, right? This box is not getting enough power, or the components are failing. So maybe once your processor demands for more power, or your CD-ROM, the guy will have to restart. It will fail. Right? So these are some of the possible issues that you can have with power supply. Application crash. That's to say that you have an application that is misbehaving. So if an application is misbehaving, what do you do? So you can try to reinstall, you can try to update, or you can try to update the operating system itself. So you have a lot of what's it called? A lot of scenarios playing out. Then you have log entries are very, very critical, very important. Like I wanted to do earlier on, your what's it called? Your control panel administrative tools event viewer. You can click there, you're going to see a lot of logs of what has happened. See, my own is still loading. See, when you tap system, it's going to load and show you some of the warnings and things, and it will tell you with the dates and the time. So it can give you a heads up of what has been happening to that system over time. This is 7,000. My one is 24,000. Right? So you have grinding noise. Grinding noise most of the time is going to come from your power supply or your fan. If your fan has issue or if your fan is failing, you know your fan is always spinning. Your power supply also has a fan inside of it. Right? You see, most power supply, this guy here is fan, right? So if it's bad, it might make the components fail because the component needs cooling. So if it fails, all you just need to do is to, if you zoom this very well, you're going to see a screw. Let me get one. Okay, I think this is it. So all you need to just do is, but you have to open up the other components. Then you unscrew this one, take it off. Then you buy exact replacement with exact volts. Most of the time, it's going to be 3 volts or 3.3. Exact volts, you replace and you are good to go. Grinding noise. Capacitor smelling. So these are capacitors. Capacitors are devices that hold power a bit before they release. Some physics there. So capacitors, sometimes referred to as caps, are used as part of the voltage step-down circuit that provides power to the processor. So they hold power, they release, they hold, they release, they hold, they release. That's why at times, if you have issues, your capacitor is one of the first guy that is going to blow up. So if it blows up, good luck to you. If it doesn't go across, then it's not going to go to your components. If it blows up and it's much, it passes through, then it's going to get to your components. So typically when power comes, they like hold and release the voltage to the processor and some of the other components. So you have capacitors like holding a power and release. That's why at times you see in your adapter, in your laptop adapter capacitor, you are wondering and asking yourself, why am I talking about capacitor? Why am I looking at physics? Shibi, I said I'm just a technician. You see the guy, very big. Now, ask yourself, why is it that some devices, if you remove them from power, the power, what's it called? This is it here also. The power
will linger a bit before it
linger a bit. So why is it lingering a bit? It's because there is still power in the capacitor. There's some voltage, there's some charge. And that's why most of the times, if the power adapter is bad, funny enough, some people are going to fix their power pack. What are they typically fixing? They're changing the capacitor and some other components. Once they change that, most of the times, every other component is still okay. If it doesn't get to them, the surge.
And the starter pack.
Yes. Okay. A system with at least 2 capacitors. Okay, that picture above. So this is a step-by-step tutorial on replacing a bad capacitor. So a capacitor is just going to have a positive negative. You can unsolder it from the board and replace, or from the power pack. And it's a very small, quick fix. Instead of getting a new adapter, that can be replaced. Now, another question is, okay, this is like a step-by-step guide. You can look it up. So
Okay.
now you see, inaccurate date and time. Your CMOS battery is the
CMOS battery.
Because from our learning in the past, that's the guy that holds configurations, time, date.
Yes.
Even your MAC address and IP settings, somehow this thing, because once you remove this, it resets most of these things, and your system will typically pick up a new IP address, and your not MAC address out of it. Your system is actually also going to have the default date. So you need to reset your date. Most CMOS battery will work for about 3 years. Right?
Yep.
They don't cost a fortune. That's the guy there. Right? Storage. So storage, people don't want to actually have their drives have issues. Depending whether you're using an ID drive, a SATA drive, an SSD drive, we don't want to have issues, because if you have issues, it then means your, what's it called? Your PC data most likely is gone. So different computers have different ways they tell drive activity. At times is on and off the drive activity. If it's on, if it's off or inactive, times is flashing. Different devices will tell a different way. If the fans are on, if it's failed. I think I'm looking now, I have mine. Mine is like it's stable. So you see, depending on what you are doing, it can be blinking, it can be idle, some depending on the laptop. So this has to do with the laptop. Documentation is very key here. Right? Documentation is very key. Now, because you're going to be dealing with different manufacturers, different devices, different and the rest. So documentation is very key. Read-write failure, a situation whereby a drive cannot read, a drive cannot like write. So it can be damaged cable, it can be the host adapter, or it can be an overheated hard disk. Slow performance, right? So most of the times it can be at times you have some drives that are jump pad. I've already explained the jumped drives, I think in series 4, either series 4 or series 5 of this training. So you jump the drives to tell which one is going to be the primary drive, or which one is going to be the secondary drive, or which one is going to auto select. Jumped SATA drives. Drive. So you have a situation whereby you can take more than one. You can take more than one hard disk, and if that's going to happen, how do you tell which one is going to boot first? Okay, look at something like this. So you see, this is the bay 1, this is the bay 2. So you can have some jumper settings that's going to tell us, okay, this is going to be the primary and this is going to be the secondary. So you have some other probable cause. So this is the jumper stuff I was talking about. So if it depending on the manufacturer, I think I showed you a sticker the last time.
Yeah.
It's going to tell, okay, this drive run at so speed, or this drive become the primary drive, this drive become the secondary drive. So the manufacturer will tell where you put in this pin. You can pull out this pin and plug it in here. It just tells how it's going to operate. Okay, drive connected to the slow host adapter. So if the adapter is bad or is slow, or that cable is weak, then it can impact your speed, right? Partition that is misaligned, Windows automatically creates first partition on the SSD. However, if you do not use the entire SSD for a single partition, additional partition might be misaligned starting in the middle of a page instead of a page boundary. So to understand this, you need to understand how the sectors drive sectors and headers. So if things are not aligned properly, this is what you have in your, especially not SSD, especially for your HDD. If things are not aligned properly, then you might have your system slow. And one of the solutions to this is by you doing defragmentation. Are you there? Defragmentation is going to help you fix most of this alignment issue and files not storing, because the files actually start storing from inside out, right? It is synonymous to how a CD drive also stores its stuff. So we call these sectors. We call this a track. Track and field events. Can you remember?
Yeah.
So the data starts getting stored like this from inside out. Same thing for CD-ROM. CD-ROM uses the same methodology to store data. That's why if you want to know a CD-ROM that is, okay, I think it's explained here. Good. If you want to know a CD-ROM that is filled, you will see a shadow you see a shadow covering the entire area. If you want to see the size of the recording of what the content that is inside, if it's just a little bit, that means that the space, what data it's containing is not much, right? So that's how you know, because the writing is from inside like this out. So when you have alignment issue, it can slow up the different partitions. So what can solve it is to do what? You can recreate your partitions, or you can do defragmentation. So we say defragmentation because it's fragmented. So we want to defragment. It's not aligned. It's fragmented. These are in piecemeal, scattered. So we want to defragment. So your PC just say defragmentation, right? So it can help you optimize your disks, right? And that will increase your speed. Questions so far? So I think you have some other things that are here. Not optimize the operating system for use with SSD. Although Windows 10 is designed to dispatch superfetch, defragment, and other services that can slow SSD performance, Windows does not always detect an SSD as an SSD. You can use this tool to configure for better performance. Grinding and clinking noise. So you can have hard disks. You see some hard disks making crank, 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 crank. So those hard disks are going. So you should start budgeting for a new hard disk. Failure to boot. So once a system cannot boot, so there are likely issues. It can be the boot sector of the drive is affected. So there's always a sector, there's a section. We talked about sector just a while ago. Yeah, so that portion that holds the operating system for booting purpose, once it's affected, then your system cannot boot. So what you can do is that you can drive with another drive and to see if that can solve the issue. You can also check up your CMOS settings to see where the system is supposed to boot from. Right? So change boot order. Right? So once you get into BIOS, you can decide now the way it is now, it is 1 is removable device, 2 is hard disk. So this is supposed to come to 1 and this comes down. So if the CMOS have issues on knowing what to select and is corrupted, then it won't know which to select first to boot. So your system is not going to boot up. So you have a boot issue. One of the first things you want to check is that you want to ask yourself, does the system even understand that I need to boot from this hard disk first?
Yeah.
So once you are sure that the guy understands that I need to boot from that, then you can now proceed on other probable causes. Okay, what else again? Bootable device not found. This is very common, and most of the times is that your hard disk has shifted. It has moved from its position, especially when it's not properly screwed up. I can't find it. Or your cable have issues. The cable that's connecting is let me see something. Bootable device not found. Let me see. HDD cable. Are you seeing? Boot device not found. Once this cable is shifted a bit, forget it. You see the way the data is, the power is there. The drive is spinning, but the drive cannot supply data for the system to boot up.
Yeah.
So it's going to say boot device not found. So you have this kind of screen when you open up the system, when you boot the system. And most of the probable cause is that the drive is not there. So open up the system, plug this guy in, make sure it sits properly, screw what you need to screw up, and you're good to go.
Can we stop by 8? I need to go for a meeting.
Okay, sure. So I think we can, let me see what we have next. What we have more. Read failure. Okay, let's stop at I think we stopped at 480.
Oh, yeah.
So any questions so far?
Nope.
Okay, good. So catch up.